Uh, Good evening, everyone. Am I audible to you? Can anyone please confirm? Yep, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Uh,
Yes.
yeah, first, let us start. I welcome you all to the KWoC 2022 intro seminar. So, firstly, thank you for joining. So, I'm Ligit. I'm a third year undergraduate student at IIT Kharagpur. I'm executive at KWoC. So, KWoC means Kharagpur Open Source Society. So, we are a group of open source enthusiasts who promote and increase awareness about open source in the campus. So, as a part of KWoC, we conduct various workshops, which include Ubuntu Install Fest, Git and GitHub workshop, Linux shell scripting Vim workshop, GZOC intro seminar, etc. So apart from these, we also conduct KWoC, which is called Kharagpur Winter of Code. So KWoC is actually a 5-week long event, which will actually help students to increase their contributions in open source journey. So let me talk about what is open source later. So some of you might be knowing what is open source. Like some of you might have contributed in open source previously. So any one of you who know what is open source here? You can unmute and speak. So what do you think when I say about open source? Yeah, you can unmute and speak.
Hello,
Yeah.
myself Harshit. I am from Udaipur and I run a community of force named Force in my college regarding open source and technologies. And what I know about the open source is it's a large community platform where you can you write your code or your any idea regarding technologies and you can get some response regarding that.
Yeah, what you have said is somewhat similar to open source. So open source means like there is a software for which the source code is freely distributed to everyone, and the permission is also given to redistribute it and modify it. Like, let me explain you with an example. Suppose take the example of the browser you use daily. Suppose let's take two browsers. One is Firefox and the other is Chrome. So we here Firefox is an open source software, whereas Chrome is not open source software. So what I mean about this is like, what if you want to find like how the people coded Firefox? Like you can actually go online and you can actually check the whole source code of Firefox. Like they have given even the instructions to compile it to run the Firefox, to build the Firefox. Whereas you cannot find that for Chrome because Chrome is not an open source software, but Firefox is. So you might have got some idea regarding what an open source like. If a software is an open source, like anyone can view the code, anyone can redistribute the code, anyone can modify the code. So this is a general brief idea about open source. So this KWoC doesn't actually help you in starting your open source journey, but it actually also helps you to participate in much bigger open source events like Google Summer of Code, Girl Script Summer of Code, Summer of Bitcoin, Summer of Nix, etc. So in the KWoC, so let's discuss what is the main motive of conducting KWoC and the process of selecting projects and the timeline of KWoC and the evaluations. So there will be evaluations in the Kharagpur Winter of Code. Like there will be two types of evaluations. Like it is not a continuous evaluation; it's a discrete evaluation. So the main motive is introducing open source to the next generation. So when I say open source, there are so many flexibilities and feasibilities in the open source. Like I can just sit in my home and I can just open my laptop and I can contribute to different various big projects. The projects I mean, they are very small. Take the example of some Chrome extensions and very large big projects. Like take the example of a web browser. So from my home, like I can literally see if the project is an open source, then I can actually contribute to very big projects. From like I can be sitting anywhere in the world and I can just directly contribute to Linux Foundation. I can just contribute to Python Foundation. I can just contribute to FSF Foundation. Like these are all big, great open source organizations. And the next motive is opportunity to contribute to real code. Like assume if you have become an Android developer and you are contributing to Android open source project. So if you are making some huge amount of changes in the Android open source project, you are making some valuable and quality contributions to it, then like you are actually making the lives of all the Android users very easy, right? Like you are actually solving some issues which are bothering the people. So it's like opportunity you are getting to contribute to real code and for the better of the people. So, like I said, it is not only about getting involved in open source. It also like KWoC is similarly like GSOC. So, anyone here who have previously heard what a GSOC is, you can
Yes,
unmute and speak.
I have heard.
Yeah, can you say something about GSOC?
GSOC is a code like it generally happens in summer times. Like it's a open source community. Like there are various like Mozilla Firefox, even Python clubs participate in it. And various students participate and they try to contribute to make their community and artificial intelligence and the contribute.
Uh, I think your voice is breaking.
Hello, am I
Yeah,
audible?
yeah, it's fine now.
Yeah, I was saying GSOC it happens in the summer, and there are various other organizations like Mozilla Firefox, Python, and various other communities are there. Various people like professors, students, first year and the grad also take part in it, and they contribute to they join the community and they help to improve the community.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So what happens in GSOC is different organizations propose some projects to Google, and Google accepts some of them, and later those who want to contribute to the organizations, we can apply as a mentor. We can apply as a mentee. Then Google shortlist some students. Like we need to write a detailed statement of purpose, and later screening takes place, and then the coding period starts. So what happens in KWoC is somewhat similar to GSOC, but you need not write any SOP to contribute to projects. Like in KWoC, when the registration begins, you can see the list of available projects on the website. You can choose as many as projects you like, what interests you, and you can just directly start contributing to them. So there is no need of a statement of purpose here. So this is small, like GSOC actually runs for a long duration of time, like some in months, like 4 months plus. Whereas KWoC is just 5 week long online program. So you can think of KWoC as a mock GSOC. So like with all this, now I think you might be interested to participate in KWoC. You want to contribute contribute to projects in KWoC. So like let's come to the prerequisites. So the most important prerequisite is zeal for open source. Like without interest, we can't move forward here. It acts as a catalyst in our open source journey and passion for learning new things. So we have a wide variety of audience here. Like most of you might be the freshers who joined college this year. So maybe you want to explore something. You want to explore something new. You want to develop some more skills. So you can try out open source. Maybe this will be your dream journey and some basic understanding of Git and GitHub. So does anyone know what a Git is here?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Please speak.
yeah. Git is a version control system, and GitHub is a where you can deploy your website and your project.
Yeah, GitHub is not only used for deploying website. So let me start with Git. So Git is a distributed version control system. Suppose you want to submit some proposal. So you have made a draft proposal. Then later you review it again. You have made some changes. Then later you review it again and you make some changes. So finally your proposal is being changed, right? So you are tracking the changes in the proposal. Assume you are tracking the changes in the proposal. Assume the version is a V1 on day one and second version on day two, third version on day two. So you are tracking the versions. So similar thing happens if we, in the case of a code. Suppose you are contributing some code to some project. Think you are writing some code changes on the first day and changing it on the second day, again changing it on the third day. So we are tracking the different versions. So it is a version control system used to track changes in software development. So Git is also an open source software. And when I come to GitHub, like you can just directly go to github.com and you can just check what is happening there. So GitHub, you can call it as a social media for developers. Like in one line, I can say it's a Tinder for developers. Like in GitHub, we can host various open source projects. Like there are very big organizations who host their projects. Like you can literally see the source code of different projects online. You can actually see very big organizations projects online there. So GitHub is used basically for hosting or Git projects. And familiarity with your favorite language. Maybe you can choose any language of your choice and any frameworks, either C, C++, Python, Java. And you can actually look at the website projects. Like registrations will start soon. When the projects are appearing, then you can actually check which language do I need to contribute this project. You can choose your favorite language. And if you don't have experience in any programming language, then it's completely fine. You can just start now. You can parallelly learn the language, and you can also start contributing to it. It's never late though. So coming to some misconceptions, like like some eligibility criteria for KWoC. So there is nothing eligibility criteria. The only eligibility criteria is your interest in open source. So some people might think that I'm not from a CSE department, so and I can't contribute to this open source. It's nothing like that. So from what we have observed, this is the seventh edition of KWoC. In the previous six editions, people from various departments have contributed to some really very good projects in KWoC. So there is no department barrier, there is no college barrier. Anyone can choose to apply for a student, anyone can choose to apply for a mentor. And the next thing is algorithms or CP. So maybe some of you might know what are data structures and algorithms are. Some of you might know what is computative programming is. So what happens is you really don't need to learn all the algorithms. Like we don't accept the projects which are just like solving some CP questions, solving some algorithm basic questions. But if a particular project requires some algorithm to be implemented, to make a new feature or to solve bugs, then you can implement algorithms. But direct solving questions based on algorithms, DSA questions projects, you won't find them. So algorithm is not a compulsory prerequisite. It will only require if the project demands. So let's discuss about the tentative timeline. So soon after this intro seminar, we shall start the student registration and mentor registration on the website. You can go to kwoc.cositkgp.org to register yourself as student or a mentor. So while when you register as a student, you contribute to the projects. When you register as a mentor, you submit a project. While submitting a project, you submit some required information like project name, project description, project tags, and some communication channel. So a communication channel is required for a mentor and student to communicate among themselves. And 4th December is the date when the coding period starts. The 12th December is the deadline for project registration, and 18th December is the deadline for student registration. So 19th December is mid-evaluation. So let me talk about mid-evaluations. So in between 4th December and 19th December, you need to have at least one successful contribution so that you can clear mid-evals. You can only clear mid-evals when you have a complete successful one contribution. And 7th January is the deadline for end evaluations plus blog submission. So again, in between 19 December and 7th January, you need to have another at least one successful contribution, plus you need to submit a blog to us. So what should be written in the blog? Blog can be as descriptive as possible, but it should minimum consist of your KWoC journey, what all the hardships you faced and how you solved them, description about your projects, how you contributed them, the quality and quantity of your contributions. So this is a tentative timeline for KWoC. If there are any changes, they will be reflected on the website. You can also join our Slack workspace and Discord workspace. So let me give you some suggestions based on for selecting the projects. So you can when the projects appear on the website, you can actually see the tags for every project. So you can choose the projects with the languages you are familiar with. Suppose you are familiar with Python or Java. So you can actually search on the website and you can actually choose Python specific projects or Java specific projects. You can also explore different projects that actually interest you. So there will be a link to the project source code. There will be a communication channel. You can join the communication channel, talk with the mentor, also talk with the fellow people who are willing to contribute like you. And you can actually choose a project based on your interest. And another suggestion is try not to choose many projects, because for end evaluations, we do not only consider the quantity of the contributions you make, but also the quality of the contributions you make. So it's better not to choose many projects and make your contributions less valuable. Like instead, choose a little amount of projects, like 2 3 projects, and make very good contributions in those projects. And like complete understanding of the project is not required. Like when I say complete understanding, like a project might involve different languages, programming languages, different frameworks in a language. Like you need not completely understand the project. You can just contribute to some part of the project. For that, you require a certain amount of skills. So like, don't be afraid if a program demands much more skills. You can just really work on the part that is needed. From here, my friend Soham will continue.
Yeah, thank you, Likit. So, for the evaluations, what does matter is the quality of your code and the importance of your contributions. And we do not in any way take in the amount of code you have submitted to the evaluations. So, we'll be seeing the review from your mentors and especially the review from your mentors to see how much, how the quality of your code, how good it is. So, you can submit thousands of lines that change something literally useless, and that won't be affecting our evaluations much. What would be important is that you can even submit like say 1 or 2 lines of code as long as it fixes an really important issue or you are doing something adding a new feature. That would be much more preferable to say a huge amount of code that doesn't mean anything. And yes, then there will be your mentors. The mentors are the ones who will decide your fate in KWoC. By that, I mean that your mentors will be the one who will decide how good your submission is, whether you will qualify as a finalist and qualify to get some of the swag that we reserve. And they're also responsible for helping you along the way. And yes, finally, there are two evaluations done. The mid evaluation, which is done after some 2 weeks after the KWoC starts, and finally, there's the end evaluations that is done when this will end. For the mid evaluations, there you will have to submit at least one pull request or at least one comment to the repository you're working on. For the end evaluations, you will be submitting like first, of course, you will be submitting at least one pull request to the repository you're working on, and finally, you'll be working on like you will have to submit a blog post. The blog post will detail the work you have done on KWoC, the things you have learned, and your experience with KWoC. It's equally important as the PRs, as this helps us learn how much you have learned and how much you have contributed to the repository. So, for so far, we talked all about the students, but let's talk about the mentors right now. So, we have two criteria for project selection. The mentors are not required to be the owners of the repository, they can even be collaborators. But for the repository itself, there must at least be two open issues. The issues can be labeled with something like good first issue or bug fix or something like that, so people find it easier to fix that bug. And secondly, there must be a README file which will document how to run the project, what the project is about, and how to even submit a good code, like what the code quality should be like, or what is the styling standard for that repository. This stuff should be in the README. Secondly, the mentor must create a communication channel. The communication channel can be on any platform, say Slack, Discord, Gitter, Matrix, IRC, or even WhatsApp. It does not matter. But there should be at least one communication channel where the mentees or the students that are participating in this competition can ping the mentor and ask them for the help. And finally, the main role of mentors, the reason why we have mentors is to help first time contributors. The main user base of KWoC is like first time contributors who have not used open source or GitHub much, and they might have a various doubts like how to create a pull request or how to solve a particular issue. And that's the job of the mentors. They firstly have to explain the code base, how the code works, what technologies it uses, etc., to the students, and then they have to like help them if they have any issues. But when I say help, I don't mean spoon feeding. You do not have to write any code for the students. You just have to see whether the code is right or wrong, whether they are doing it in the correct approach or their approach itself is wrong. That's all you have to check. You do not have to write the code for them, although feel free to, if you see any relevant Stack Overflow issues or anything, feel free to send them to your mentees. So now we come to the frequently asked questions. The first question we always get is, how do I get selected in KWoC? It's very simple. There is literally no selection procedure. You just go on to the KWoC site, kwoc.cosrtpkgp.org, and then you register on it. So you can register either as a student or a mentor, and it's really simple. So the next second most question is, how do I learn Git or GitHub? We at Cos IT Kharagpur have made multiple videos and workshops over the years, like how to commit to open source, how to contribute to open source, how to use Git and GitHub. And we have put a link to our most recent workshop that we conducted in 2021, the Git and GitHub workshop. So you can see the link in the slide itself, and we'll also be posting the link in the chat box. So just go to that site and see what all you can learn from it. We also have videos for learning Git and GitHub, the workshops we conducted. The videos are available on YouTube. Just go onto YouTube and search Git and GitHub workshop, course IT Kharagpur, and you will find all relevant information. So, yeah, what programming languages and tech stack is required to participate in KWoC? The answer is there is no hard and fast rule for what programming languages or tech stack you need. You can learn any programming language, and chances are there will be a project that uses that programming language. So the most common kind of projects we get are usually written in Python, Node JavaScript, Node.js, JavaScript, even C, C++ sometimes. So just learn those languages. If you don't know any languages, just learn those languages, and then you can use those languages to participate in KWoC. Just in case you know a language, like you know Python really well, then you don't really have to learn a new language. You just go on, see the list of projects, and apply to them. I recommend applying to a project in which you have like previous working experience, so your experience will be smoother. So yeah, the next question is, who is a mentor and how will they help me? So, as I described before, the main role of a mentor is to guide you along the way. They will be checking if your approach is correct. They will be teaching you how to create a pull request or even how to properly fix a bug, but they won't be helping you in writing the code itself. That is all up to you. So you can ask your mentors for help, like, is this approach correct? I'm going to fix this bug in this particular manner. Is this approach correct? Feel free to ask this. But please don't ask your mentors for the code, like what code is needed. So, and yeah, another role of mentors is that they will also be judging you alongside the way. They will be checking how good your contributions are, if you qualify for a certificate. And rest assured, if you do your job diligently, you will qualify for a certificate at the very least. And yes, how much time in a day do I need to give for KWoC? Well, the answer is it completely depends on you. There is no lower bound, nor there is an upper bound. You can even you can work on it 1 day a week, and in that 1 day you work 24 hours. You can do that too. You can also work 30 minutes a day for every day. Even that is fine. It is completely up to you how much time you want to give. But we do conduct the Kharagpur Winter of Code during the December month, when most colleges have a winter vacation, so you have more time in the day to participate in this. So yeah, is this some kind of an internship? The answer is no, it is not an internship. It is more like a competition than an internship, but on the it's kind of like Google Summer of Code. It's basically an open source event where we teach you how to get started with open source, how to use Git, how to contribute to projects, big projects, how to read and write code in others repositories, etc. So while it is not an internship, you can definitely mention this in your CV, and that will definitely help you get some kind of internship later on. Finally, yeah, will taking a part in KWoC increase my chances of joining COS? So yes, COS is a society at IIT Kharagpur, and usually we select only first years. So if you're a first year watching this video, this seminar, attending this seminar, then yes, if you take part in KWoC, it will highly increase your chances of joining COS, since we know you have participated in open source before, and we really like that. But if you're a second year or a senior, well, sorry to say, but we don't really select that many, we don't really select seniors in our society. Although, if you think you have exceptional open source skills, exceptional coding skills, feel free to apply. We can check on a case by case basis. And finally, yeah, the tips and tricks. So the first step and the most important in my opinion is to communicate with mentor clearly at every step. If you think you have a new approach to solve a particular problem, or you have thought of a new feature, be sure to communicate to your mentor first. They will let you know if it is a good feature, if it is worth solving, if it is like worth fixing the bug, or if your approach is correct. Let's say you thought of an approach like you will do something, change some code, but your approach may be incorrect. It might lead to another bug. So just in case, communicate with your mentor and just let them know what you're doing. They will say if it is right or wrong. And yeah, if your mentor is inactive, if you feel that your mentor has not replied in more than say 3 days, 4 days, then we'll be having a button on the KWoC site itself where you can click that button and we'll be looking into that matter ourselves. And yes, the another very important tip, you have to use Google as a tool and be mindful of Stack Overflow. So when you Google stuff, you will get to learn the main way programmers learn how to actually learn programming is by Googling stuff. So all you have to do is Google the bug. You might look on the stuff on Stack Overflow. You will be learning a lot about programming itself from this. Say you have a bug, like the request, like you are making a website and the website is not being, it's not showing some particular text. You will just search that particular bit of problem that's happening on Google, and you will definitely get a helpful, I mean a lot of helpful resources. So yeah, if you face any coding related issues, I would suggest googling it first, searching on Stack Overflow before actually pinging your mentors. This will be both beneficial for you and the mentor, since the mentor might take say 1 or 2 days to reply to you. So in this case, just use Google as a tool. And remember, Google is the most important tool for a programmer. So yeah. So one thing I suggest you to do is to start with small issues. Don't just start with a huge issue that will require you to say submit a lot of features, fix a very like core bug that will require a lot of debugging. I would suggest starting with small things at a time. So you can say start with something like the text is being printed wrong, say there's a grammatical error. You can start with small issues like that initially. And then once you're familiar with the code base itself, you can then move on to the bigger issues. And yeah, if you face any issues, like if you face any problems while picking an issue, what part of the code to work on, just ping your mentor. They will assign you a issue themselves and they will let you know what issue is easy, what issue is difficult, and they will be helping you along the way. So yeah, and finally, last but not least, do remember that a readme.md file is meant to be read. There's a readme file in all proper repositories on GitHub, and they usually contain a lot of important information. They will say like what the project is about, how to run the project locally on your own PC, and even how to contribute to the code base properly. Like they may mention like use tabs instead of spaces or similar kind of stuff. So yeah, do read the readme file. It will help you get started with the project. Now, finally, the slide you all have been waiting for. The incentives we'll be providing to top performance this year. This is the first time we are doing this in KWoC, and this time the students who successfully clear KWoC will be judged upon various criteria. One of the criteria is that the number of pull requests you have merged. But do remember and keep in mind, it's not the quantity that's important, it's the quality. So yeah, even if you submit say like two or three pull requests, we will be checking the pull request individually and seeing how good the quality is. If your quality, you have submitted only two pull requests, but the quality is much better than someone who has submitted say 20 pull requests, we'll be preferring you. And yeah, the blog will also be playing an important factor because we want to know how much you have learned from participating in KWoC, what things you have experienced along the way, what new stuff you have learned, and how you have improved the repository in itself. And finally, we'll also be taking into account the mentor's feedback. If your mentors say you have done really well, you have done the work diligently, you have solved an important bug, we'll be taking those things into account. And yes, the top 5 performers of KWoC 2022, the top 5 people, like the ones who create the best pull requests, the ones that do the best like code quality changes, they'll be awarded with a Postman API 101 kit. So this kit will be consisting of a t-shirt, a sticker, a pen, and a pop-up holder. I really do hope you guys enjoy this, and congratulations in advance to the 5 people who win KWoC this year. Finally, we will move on like yeah, I guess you must have been bored by this long presentation. So let's just get this over with and get on to the questions part. If you have any questions, feel free to like raise your hand as ask them now, or ask them in the chat box. And yeah, I think we have not mentioned this, but yeah, any student, not even in IIT Kharagpur, can participate in this. It is not restricted by college or age or even wherever you're staying. Even like a 13-year-old boy from USA can participate in this competition. It's just up to you. If you have any other questions, just feel free to ask them in the chat or raise your hand and speak them. Yeah, the blog, you can publish it anywhere. So if you say have written a blog, you can like publish it on your own site if you have one. You can even create a markdown file on GitHub itself, like create a new repository that contains your blog. It does not have any like necessarily, like you don't have to create a website of your own. You can just put the blog post anywhere, literally anywhere, just it should be visible to everyone. And yeah, will the mentors be allotted randomly? No, how it works is that there will be projects and there will be mentors allocated to them. Like the mentors themselves will be posting the projects. So based on that, the mentors themselves will be choosing which students to take in for the project. You have to apply for the project and the mentor will be automatically allotted to you. Yeah. So if you don't know any programming language, I would say get started with Python or Node.js or C++, and chances are there will be a project related to those programming languages. And yeah, Rahul, if you are learning C, you can definitely participate. We usually have some projects that are in C or C++. And yes, Aryan. So how the certification works is that you will have to complete the KWoC thing fully. You will have to do the mid evaluations and then the end evaluations, which, as I said, consist of a blog post and the contributions you have made. And if we see you have done all of these things, then yes, you will get a certificate. And no, we won't judge you for the commit messages as long as it is readable. The last day to register for KWoC, I will have to check personally, but I would suggest registering it as soon as possible. Registrations, I think, will open today or they have already opened, and just register as soon as you can. They will be closing around like first week of December, I think. um, where to follow for regular updates of KWoC. So yeah, you can follow us on your LinkedIn. I mean, you can follow us on your social media platforms. That's on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, etc. Or yeah, just follow our website. You will see the updates there if you have any important updates. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, but do join our Discord channel or Discord. I will post a Discord invite link in the chat, or someone else might. So yeah, do join that. We'll be posting the most important like updates regularly in the Discord chat itself. So, how much surety do we have of selection after applying? I mean, should we select to multiple projects as to ensure selection? Agnich, well, you will get selected. Don't worry, there's no student that goes unselected after application. So yeah, if you apply to a project, chances are you'll get selected. There's no, yeah, you can apply to a multiple project if you want, but yeah, you won't get rejected. I can guarantee you that. If you do in fact get registered, I mean rejected, just post in the Discord and we'll help you. So Shahid, you said, can you elaborate what is a pull request? So a pull request is basically your like the code you have changed, you submit it on the GitHub platform in something that's called a pull request. You can just watch our Git and GitHub workshop. We go over this in the details and you will learn from that. Yeah, Samyak. So the past projects done during KWoC, I think they're still up. Like I'll have to check if the KWoC 2021 site is still up. I'll just confirm and let you know. Just join the Discord in case I'm not able to find it right now. So anyone has any other questions? Yeah. So you mentioned like there's a lot of questions. Yeah. So yes, you can use DuckDuckGo. It doesn't matter. Whatever. DuckDuckGo is actually better than Google. Actually, yeah, I use it personally. So yeah, feel free to use it. And Shahid, do we have to contribute in some organization or some pre-written projects? Actually, yeah, the projects are pre-written themselves. They'll be having bugs or even like new feature suggestions. Your job will be to fix those bugs or implement new features. There'll be existing projects, yeah. So, how many students can apply in this program? As many as possible. There's no upper bound. Invite your friends, invite your family, invite everyone. If I missed any questions, just post them again. Registration link. Just one sec. I'll just post the link in the chat box here. Yeah, it's in the website itself. Yeah. Yes, of course. Like I mentioned earlier, it's open to all colleges. Just invite your friends from anywhere. They can even be like they can even be school students or adults working somewhere. Just invite them. They can even be from outside India. Yeah, as I was saying, if I missed any questions in the chat, just post them again.
Hello. So we also had some queries from the queries poll we had. So there is one question like, how are the projects allotted to the students?
Yeah. So, Likit, do you want to explain on that query?
Yeah, sure. So mentors apply with their projects, and you can actually see the list of the projects in the website. You can actually choose any project which interests you. Like there is no specific you need not write any SOP. You just need to look at the projects. If you are familiar with any programming language, you can search for those projects. You can literally stock out all the projects, and you can join as many projects as you can. So there is nothing like SOP basis and any thing. You can just directly start contribute to the project. Make sure you join the communication channel of the project and discuss with the mentor.
Okay. So the second question we have received is how to start open source only with basic web development.
Arpit, can you please repeat that?
So the question was, how can one start open source only with the basic web development knowledge?
Yeah, so if you are having app development knowledge, like you can actually go to GitHub and you can actually search for the projects in which like your skills are. Like for app development, if you're using Flutter or Java, then you can actually search for the projects on GitHub or any other open source platform which are actually coded in Java or Flutter, and you can actually start reading the code base, join their communication channel, and you can talk with them and help with them, see the issues over there, and see the recent pull request, and you can actually start contributing to it. So this is how it works. So, Harshit, regarding the guide for GSOC, you can we shall take a separate session on GSOC intro seminar, but can actually check out a GSOC intro seminar recording of previous semester. It is actually available on our YouTube channel.
So yeah, Likit, if I may. So how does KWoC guide for GSOC? It's basically that KWoC is conducted in a similar style as Google Summer of Code. And when you participate in Kharagpur Winter of Code, you not only learn how to code in a particular programming language, how to be proficient with reading others' code or contributing to an open source, like a big open source project like GSOC usually has, you also like get familiarized with the project. Like even in GSOC, you'll have to write blog posts along the way detailing how much you have learned and what things you have built on. So yeah, when you participate in KWoC, you get deeply familiarized with the workings of GSOC. Yep, of course. Like we already have provided roadmaps for open source contribution on like our Discord channel, I think. And yeah, sure, we'll add a link. We'll like post that link again in the Discord, and if possible, also on the site. The blogs can be literally anything. You can write the blogs like it just have to. Just has to be a document. Like you can even write it on Google Docs and just post a link to us. You can write it on your own website if you have one. You can create a repository on GitHub and just create a markdown file with the blog post itself. It can be in any format. We just need somewhere where we can read your content. And how can you write the blog? Well, it's simple and we'll be helping you along the way. The blog is actually still some time away. You just have to do it during the last week of KWoC. So don't worry about it right now. We'll be helping you. Yeah. So if you were not aware, this seminar is also being simulcasted on YouTube, and the recording will always be available on YouTube. So just one sec, like my friends will post the link to the YouTube recording, the YouTube live stream here. So, well, literally any tech stack works. It will depend on the project actually. So once the projects are up, you can just check what tech stacks those projects are using. And then if you don't already know, like you don't know any project stack, I mean any tech stack, then you can learn one of the easy ones like Django in Python is a easy tech stack. You can also learn React in JavaScript for making front ends, etc. Those are the easy ones if you don't know any tech stack already. Otherwise, if you do know some tech stacks, I'll suggest waiting for the projects that are out and then picking a project in that has a tech stack that you already know. Yeah. So does anyone have any other queries or well, Atharv, if you know just C++, then well, there will be C++ projects that are on KWoC, but I also suggest learning something like Python or JavaScript. Those languages are really easy, and if you know C++, learning Python or JavaScript can be done in just a week. It's a really easy language. So yeah, you can, if you want, you can learn those languages and then contribute on a project that uses Python or JavaScript, or you can find a project that uses C++ and contribute to it. So yeah, if you're not familiar with tech stacks, they're basically libraries. Like maybe you have heard of something like React framework, Angular framework, Django. If you have not heard of those, they're basically like tools to help you build a new website really quickly. Like if you know just basic Python, it's a bit hard to like create a web server or something using just the standard libraries built in. Tech stacks are basically libraries that make the job much easier, and it's much easier to create a new website or something using that particular tech stack. So that's the use of tech stacks. You can like Google Django, React, etc. You will get to understand what tech stacks are. And yes, Samyak, the previous year projects are still accessible. I just don't have the link at the moment. I'll be posting them in the Discord channel. I guess if no one has any other questions, then we can wrap up this seminar as of now. And if you have any further queries, like you couldn't think of any queries right now, just post them in the Discord channel and we'll be helping you out. So I guess we can wrap up this seminar right now. Bye, everyone.
Thank you all for joining.